Ever had a day where you show up, credentials in hand, do everything right, and they tell you to wait outside like you're just an extra on your own stage? Yeah, that happened to Nicole. She was supposed to be crew lead on recovery, but instead, they parked her out by a sealed hangar door while everyone else hustled under those brutal, buzzing deck lights. Nobody questioned it. Nobody argued. Heck, no one even seemed to notice. Not until the storm rolled in. Not until the radios started crackling and the air turned thick. And even then, nobody gave an order. They just waited. Except Nicole. She never waited for anyone's permission. Not really. You know what I mean. The carrier deck groaned under the wind, steel shivering as the storm gathered its weight. And all these men and women in their neon jerseys moved like clockwork, yelling coordinates over the roar, making it all look easy. Nicole, she kept to the shadows, right hand on the railing, boots landing soft so nobody heard the way her heart was pounding. She had her old yellow headset, but it wasn't assigned, not plugged in, just there for comfort, a coiled cord clamped down because that's what habit does to you. Tied to her belt was a little binder, corners soft, tabs faded. Inside were diagrams nobody asked her to update, old-school landing mirrors, glide slope tricks, hook-to-wire ratios by wind class. Stuff that wasn't even on the books anymore. But she knew this carrier. She knew every creak in the steel. When she passed the weapons officer prepping the last jet for recovery, he didn't look her way, and that kind of silence has its own weight. She adjusted her binder, kept moving, wind slapping her as she ducked inside. Recovery bay all lit up with fluorescent glare and radio chatter. Commander Stratton stood there, arms folded, flipping through launch logs, names called out sharp and cold. Like it was a race to finish before anyone remembered who was standing in the back. Nicole, always near the bulkhead, waited, and when Stratton got to the end, he didn't even say her name, just observer only. Take your loop from the forward catwalk and stay off comms. And that was that. Somebody behind her muttered, "She's just tagging along again." Nobody corrected him. She didn't argue. She never argued. She nodded, barely a flicker, and made her way toward the comm shack, already reading the wall's summary, her name missing, of course. She was off the manifest. There was no backup tower, no second voice on duty, just Stratton, and that was the official story. Later, Stratton's in pre-op, pointing to the ICLS readout, all high and mighty. Nicole notices a half-second latency spike, tiny, nothing really, but she calls it out. Stratton brushes her off. Redundant lock covers it. Let it go. So she lets it go, goes back out, wind ramping up, foam curling along the hull below, everything churning. She heads to the old mirror array, a piece of gear so old the bolts are rusted and the flare housing barely works, but it's there. She checks the angle, shifted less than a degree since last check. She writes it down, even though nobody else cares. Inside, the deck crew's laughing, making jokes about an old exercise gone wrong. Nobody's landed blind in 20 years, one guy says. That system's just a prop. Nicole keeps her mouth shut, walks out to the platform edge, binder open to a page marked in red, manual fallback alignment, zero visibility, wet deck, high crosswind. She doesn't need the notes, she knows them all by heart, but still, she waits there, reciting the lines in her head, just in case. Rain starts hammering, dusk folds into night, the wind's howling so hard the steel shudders under her feet. Then, just as the storm peaks, the main ICLS panel dies, monitors go dark, flare line vanishes, backup fails. Stratton shouting, slamming his hand against the console, partial lock, stand by, barking orders into the comm, but the reply comes back fast, negative visual, Alpha 7's burning final, needs a miracle. Stratton tries to pull a manual reset, asks for line 2, but line 2's cold, nobody's assigned, nobody's there, except Nicole's already moving. She doesn't wait for the go-ahead. She's down by the secondary catwalk, headset set to passive, off the official loop, but she hears the desperation in the pilot's voice, hears the silence that follows. She grabs her binder, kneels by the old mirror, flips to her own schematics, annotations she made by hand, centerline offsets, manual threshold corrections. She toggles the old switch stiff, rusty, but it gives. The lights flicker, dim but alive. She presses her headset mic to her lips, voice steady. Alpha 7. Look for the green flare path. Center line will flicker. Adjust 2 degrees right. Hold pitch. Wait for confirmation. There's a long pause. Then, copy flare. I see it. Adjusting trim. Nicole holds the alignment lever by hand. Rain slick on the casing. Counts under her breath. Calls again. Ease nose. Maintain throttle. Left wing stable. The pilot never asks who she is, never questions it. I have nothing else in visual, just you. You don't need anything else, she says. The jet comes in hot, canopy lit by lightning. Wheels screech, tailhook catches the wire, sparks everywhere, safe landing. Deck crew cheers. Stratton spins. Who the hell just called that landing? Nobody owns up. Nicole's crouched behind the shield, flare holding, ink smudging, hands numb but eyes sharp. Then another call, Alpha 2, 70 seconds to final. No guidance. Please advise. Nicole adjusts the flare. Half degree left. Checks her slope. Waits. I don't have your ship. Nothing on HUD. I'm too low to reroute. She whispers, you don't need the ship. You have the angle. Stay with the flare line. Hold steady 1 second longer than you want to. There's only static. Then, copy. The jet breaks the fog line. Nicole calls out. Pitch hold. Ease throttle. Right wing dip. 3 meters now. Another touchdown. Hard but safe. Sparks gone in the rain. The tower's quiet. Stratton tense. Who ran that voice line? A crewman mutters. Who the hell is voice to? Nicole doesn't answer. Powers down the flare. Stands up slow. Binder missing 3 pages. But the job's done. Point 1 more pass. Alpha 9. Low on fuel. Coming in blind. Nicole grabs a taped-up signal wand. Checks the beam. Steps onto the forward catwalk. No clearance. No orders. Just need. Alpha 9, you're not alone. Follow my line. He replies, you're all I've got. She guides him in. One tracking through rain. Drop. Now. The jet hits. Skips. Hook catches. No cheers. Just shock. Deck gone still. Nicole powers down. Breathes. Storm starts to break. Back below, Stratton staring at the comm logs. 3 landings. No authorized LSO. No digital signature. Just 1 channel left open. 1 word entered by hand. Mirror. Nicole walks in, headset dangling. Boots leaving wet prints. She places the headset on the console, nods. All 3 are down. That's it. No explanation needed. A young tech pipes up. She didn't wait to be cleared. She brought them home. Nobody laughs. Nobody contradicts. Nicole moves to the heater, dries her binder, opens to manual recovery, 0 visibility, traces the old schematic. She doesn't memorize, she already knows. She's making sure it's ready for next time. Nobody speaks. She was never the loudest, never the obvious leader, but when every system failed, every voice froze, she did what had to be done, not for recognition, but because someone had to remember what mattered. Oh, maybe you know someone like that, or maybe on the right day, you were someone like that. What do you think? Was Nicole wrong for stepping out of line? Or was she the only one who really understood the moment? Share your thoughts below. And if these stories of quiet strength speak to you, stick around. There's plenty more where that came from. Stories that never make the headlines but sure as hell deserve to be heard.